I've been meaning to do a video on Molton Brown fragrances. Are you guys a fan of the brand? It's been a while since I've done any videos on the house, and since they're having a Labor Day sale, 25% off of a lot of their products in their store here for Labor Day, I thought I'd do a rank list of their EDPs. The EDP fragrances are like this, dark bottles, not clear bottles, and they have beautiful caps, different colors on the top right there. So it's a top 8 list of 8 different Molton Brown EDP fragrances ranked, and I'm going to tell you about the promotion that's happening now, 25% off fragrances. If you want to discover them, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. I'm talking about Molton Brown. Are you a fan of the house? So I first discovered the house probably in the late 2000s. Barney's had their fragrances. They've gone through multiple versions of their fragrances. They had a collection that got completely discontinued, and they redid their fragrances in different bottles, and then now they redid the fragrances again in these bottles, and this was done in around the 2019 is when they redid their bottles once again. But I also discovered the brand at a hotel that I stayed at because they had their products. They're known for their shower gels, and their shower gels are amazing. A lot of these fragrances do have body products, bath products. So if you like the idea of the actual perfumes, you can get their body products as well, like lotions and shower gels. Again, their shower gels are top-notch, amazing. And so if you haven't discovered this house, please do. They're from the UK, and they have stores in the UK, and I've actually been to a store in New York City in 2019 as well. I specifically went to that store when I was in New York City for Scent Explorer, the first one, to see what was going on, especially at that time I had discovered that the fragrances were getting a facelift, the bottles and things like that. So the promotion is happening for Labor Day. It's 25% off site-wide. It also has free shipping on all orders. So it's from August 28th through September 3, 25% off site-wide with the free shipping. There's also 30% off select hand, body, bath, home, and fragrance products as well. Free shipping on all of these. So it's a great promotion. It's a great way to discover this house. And there are some really great fragrances here. If you are unfamiliar with them, you're going to discover them. I decided to stick to EDPs because they're stronger fragrances, obviously. But Molton Brown does have EDTs and EDPs. Some of the fragrances do come in both concentrations. One of them, like this, only comes in an EDP, Labdanum Dusk. But the majority of them have EDPs and EDTs. If you have a favorite Molton Brown product or fragrance, do let me know what it is. Put a comment down below, and let's get started with the list. At number 8, we're going to a fragrance called Neon Amber. Neon Amber I bought when it first came out. It launched with an EDT, plus it launched at the same time Labdanum Dusk launched. They're all amber-focused fragrances, all 3 obviously with the Neon Amber EDP, which this is at number 8, and Neon Amber EDT I have. Sadly, I was not that impressed with this one, but Labdanum Dusk I was, and we'll get to it when I let you know about that fragrance at what number. But this is a fragrance created by a favorite perfumer of mine. Unfortunately, I've been a bit let down with this one. I'm not that crazy about it. Featuring notes of Tonka Absolute, Ambroxan, Cistus Absolute, Cedarwood, Cedar Leaf, Pink Pepper, Violet Leaves, Mandarin. It's a totally different take on amber. It's called Neon Amber. I feel like it's a bit overwhelming with woods, and it's not necessarily very ambery to me. It doesn't come off ambery. Perhaps the ambroxan that's in here pretty prominently does kind of take over the amber effect that traditional amber notes will create and makes it a very dry, woody experience. Because ambroxan to me is very woody and also musky. Of course, it's ambery as well, but it's on the dry side. So this doesn't act very ambery to me, sadly. So it's starting off the list at number 8, but let's go ahead and quickly smell it. If you're a fan of this one, let me know what you like about this one. And do you prefer the EDT or the EDP? We haven't ranked the EDTs in this video, but the thing is, it's also very peppery. There's a very, very peppery effect here, and most likely it's from the pink pepper, but I wanted more amber, like your traditional amber experience, which I don't get here at all. at all, which is kind of a different take on an amber. But if you're a fan of neon amber, let me know. Put a comment down. That's at number 8. But moving on to mesmerizing oud accord and gold at number 7. Now this is one of the shower gels that I love. It's so luxurious and so amazing smelling. The perfume I enjoyed a lot, but unfortunately I have come to enjoy the others more, so that's why I put this one here at number 7. But I believe this one has a lot of fans, and for a while the shower gel for this was something everybody spoke about quite a bit and enjoyed. So this is tobacco, oud, styrax resin, saffron, davana, black pepper, vanilla, black tea, rose, cardamom, bergamot, and honey. I feel like this is kind of a holiday take on oud, a westernized oud, very resinous, very sweet, ambery, honeyed, and also spicy, because I do get a bit of cinnamony spice in this, and there's that kind of an effect in this. So it's a nice combo. It's a good fragrance. I'm not hating it, but I'm preferring the other fragrances a little more. Maybe I've just gotten a bit bored of this one. What are your thoughts? And do you prefer the EDP or EDT of mesmerizing oud accord and gold? Let me know. Let's go ahead and quickly smell. Like I said, this at one time this was something that I really enjoyed, and it's still a pretty nice fragrance. Just I've kind of gotten a little bored of it, I guess. That's why I'm ranking it here. But the shower gel is amazing. I still use it. But here it's a bit, spicy, warm spices for sure. It's also got a bit of leather, and once again, it's got a bit of pepperiness here as well. Pepper is key. And of course, Molton Brown is known for black pepper shower gel, and I believe they have a perfume there at that collection as well, which I don't have here. I feel like the black pepper has carried into these two fragrances as well. There is oud here. There's an oud-like effect. I don't think it's like the real Middle Eastern oud, but you experience an oud-like effect. So I feel like if you're into the idea of a Western oud, you probably will be satisfied with that, especially if you like this spicy, warm, ambery, resinous kind of notes as well. Moving on to a fragrance called Rose Dunes, this one right here. I did review this one, and I believe it comes in an EDT and an EDP as well. And they have a shower gel for this one as well, and it's quite beautiful. I've grown to enjoy this one more, and at that time when I reviewed it, I wasn't as excited about this, but I feel like the fragrance has developed within the last year and a half to become something really gorgeous. It's saffron, cassis, rose, geranium, patchouli, amber, oud, leather, moss, and vetiver. There's definitely a nice fruitiness here, and I feel like we're getting that from the cassis. Cassis really lends itself perfectly to rose kind of notes. There's a rosiness in cassis, I feel like, so I feel like they connect really great, especially in fragrances like L'Ombre dans l'Eau and things like that. There's for sure leather here, and also oud, but it's a nice pleasant take on a rose oud combo on the fruity side, so it smells great. Again, I've gotten to enjoy this one more than when I first reviewed it, and I feel like it's developed once it's settled on in the bottle and became a bit more aged, things like that. But let's quickly smell Rose Dunes. If you're a fan of Rose Dunes, let me know. Do you prefer the EDT or the EDP? As soon as I sprayed it, I can smell the fruitiness right off the bat. That's the first thing that hits my nose, and I haven't even put the strip on my nose. The cassis is pretty prominent. Rose does have some fruitiness as well. I do agree. But this also has patchouli. In the dry down, the patchouli is great. Really nice, lovely earthiness. Really great, actually, come to think of it. There's a very Middle Eastern vibe here for sure. The saffron is contributing to that for sure, giving us, the spiciness, and it's also a bit of leather effect. It's almost like a fabric leather experience here against the fruitiness and the rose. And of course there's geranium in this as well. Geranium is contributing to a bit of more like an herbal take on a rose, because I feel like you can trick your nose with the smell of the geranium note, because it has rosy nuances and also minty. Really great scent, I think. It's ranked a little lower. I prefer the other ones more, but I've grown to enjoy Rose Dunes quite a bit, and I really enjoy the EDP version more than the EDT version. Okay, up next we've got a fragrance that just launched recently. It's called Sunlit Clementine and Vetiver, this one right here. So this, along with this, let me show you, launched around the same time. This is Perseus, which is a grapefruit vetiver combo, and with Sunlit Clementine and Vetiver, it's clementine or mandarin orange and vetiver combo. Some similar idea to me, and also similarly fresh, but the EDP version has a bit of suede leather in the notes, so it does get a bit more concentrated. But I love the change of pace here. When you're familiar with that grapefruit in Perseus, this one has that clementine mandarin orange like smell, which I really love. It's one of my favorite citrus fruits to eat, and you get that effect here in here. So it's kind of like a breath of fresh air compared to the familiarity of Perseus, which is just the grapefruit and the vetiver there. But this is suede, moss, vetiver, hazelnuts, iris, figs, clementine, mandarin, and lime. Very citrusy, very juicy, but the vetiver kind of dries the fragrance down. The suede also does that. Light, very light nuttiness from the hazelnuts, and you do pick up a little the figs as well, but for me it's about the clementine mandarin here against the vetiver, and everything else comes in after. So it's mostly very juicy citruses, but the kind of sweet tart citruses of the clementine and mandarin note against the vetiver. So wonderful. Really, really great. If you like the idea of Perseus, maybe you're on a budget, you don't want to spend that much money, I think this will satisfy for sure. I like that. It smells great. It's bright sunshine, and of course this looks like the sun, so giving you that kind of a burst of sunshine effect when you wear that fragrance. So the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Tobacco Absolute, and it's at number 4. Just want to also say there's a fragrance that used to be called Russian Leather. I believe Molton Brown pulled it and rebranded it, so I don't have that fragrance currently, but at one time I did enjoy that fragrance as well. Sadly, it's not here on the list. I haven't purchased the latest version of it. I've kind of stored away my Russian Leather because it'll be a collector's item eventually, right? But Tobacco Absolute, I bought them at the same time is what I'm trying to refer to as the Tobacco Absolute. So tobacco, ginger, Peru balsam, bergamot, orris, violet, cedarwood, patchouli, wine accord. Very interesting notes. It is a bit on an animalic side, and I feel like there's a bit of cumin in here, even though it's not mentioned. You get that kind of an effect when you're wearing it. So it's tobacco, and of course, it's not very smoky to me. It's more of like the actual realistic smell of tobacco leaves. It can get a bit dirty, and I don't know if I want to use the word moldy, but aged smell is what I'm kind of trying to refer to. But there are powdery touches here, balsamic touches and ambery touches when it's drying down. A lot of woods, lots of woods. Let's go and smell. This is probably so far the most masculine, and actually really masculine fragrance from what I've reviewed here so far and spoke about. And the fact that it has that cumin touch in here, which makes for a little bit more like a sweaty animalistic quality. So it's powdery for sure. I'm getting the powdery effect, and it's not smoky. I don't get smoky touch with this one. It's tobacco, but it's more of that aged leaves kind of effect before you burn it, you know, in a cigarette form or in a pipe form. So you got that. It does have a kind of an antique-y smell. There's a woodiness about the aged tobacco leaves, but along the way there's, you know, zing and spice, earthiness, violet powderiness, and I think the violet and orris together give you a very powdery effect. And like in the background, the combination of the orris and violet, there's a slight, you know, powdery, makeup-y powder kind of smell against everything else. Really great scent. I really like this one. Very butch, very masculine, even though it has that kind of makeup effect happening with the orris and violet. This is Tobacco Absolute from the House of Molton Brown. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. The next one is so gorgeous, and I had a hard time with the top 3, but this is how I ended up with. At number 3, it's Milk Musk EDP. So Milk Musk, the series, is a really delicious series. It's a milky musk fragrance, so they have milky lactonic notes and also musky notes together, and also a bit ambery in the dry down. Very, very delicious, super sexy, and I love that about it. This is tonka beans, vanilla, musk, elemi resin, and there's a milkiness here. They're not listing the milk as a note. It's called Milk Musk. I feel like there's a milky accord in this. It's not listed in the notes breakdown. But there's also benzoin. But remember, Chanel's Coromandel doesn't list milk chocolate. They feature benzoin. So benzoin is giving you that kind of a milky effect against the patchouli. I feel like it's giving us this milky effect in here, even though Maybe they do have a milk accord featured in here, then they're just not listing it. But to me, it acts very milky, but more thicker compared to the original in the EDT. This is more like a thick cream or whipped cream kind of an effect. But it's so, so delicious. This is one of the best from this house, and I feel like it has a following. If you haven't tried Milk Musk, try. You'll notice a difference between the EDT and the EDP as well. I've worn both, and I enjoy both quite a bit. If you want something a thicker milk experience, go with the Milk Musk EDP. You want something fresher, go with the EDT. The EDT, I believe, also has a bit of fruitiness in there. Like, I believe there's a peach note. Yum. This is a really, really delicious fragrance. I absolutely love this. It's a milk, but this bright yumminess is in there. Almost like not gourmand, but trying to be, but it's a vanilla that's not super sickly sweet. It's a musk that's fluffy, almost like marshmallows. This is what I'm getting with this one, marshmallowy. It's so super delicious. Milk Musk is a great fragrance from Molton Brown, one of the best. If you haven't tried it, please do. I recommend both. But of course, as I said, I am ranking the EDPs here in this list. So I could have put Milk Musk at number 1 or 2, or I've put it on 3. But at number 2, it's another favorite fragrance of mine from this house. It's Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel. This is more masculine leaning now. We've got a very masculine leaning fragrance. And the Milk Musk, I would say, it probably leans a bit on the feminine side, but they're all unisex fragrances. Here we have cypress, marine notes, leather, vetiver, bergamot, fig leaves, frankincense, jasmine, ginger, cedar, musk. This is a more concentrated take on the original Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel, and I feel like Coastal Cypress and Sea Fennel is a bit inspired by wood sage and sea salt from Joe Malone. Kind of a similar idea, but totally different. You really notice the cypress in this fragrance. It does have a bit of a menthol, camphoric kind of a touch in here. That's actually really nice against the marine notes. That cypress is really prominent. Again, it does have that kind of a menthol, camphor-like touch. And against the marine notes, it's super fantastic. This one does get leathery in the dry down, very woody. There's a bit of that green fig leaves note as well, giving you some more greenness with the cypress that's in here, which is also giving us that kind of camphor mintiness. But there's along the way some smoky touches and woods and musk thrown in as well. A great fragrance, one of the best from this house. I've been a fan of it since probably, like 2 years before they rebranded into these bottles. I was actually had a layover at not Heathrow, Gatwick Airport, and they were in the previous bottles, and I bought a whole bunch of them there. They were like 30 pounds, 35 pounds for 50 mLs. That's when I really started wearing Molton Brown fragrances, and at that time is when I discovered the EDTs, and I think they only had EDTs, and then they launched the EDPs when they did these bottles. So this is the color, and I think it makes sense. The colors totally make sense with the kind of juice you're getting in these fragrances. As soon as I sprayed it, I got that kind of a camphor menthol kind of a vibe coming from the cypress for sure. But there's a lot of marine notes, and it's the kind that's very tolerable. It's wearable. It's not the kind of stuff that makes you gag. Sometimes they overdose it. Really fresh, very green, very sea breeze or marine-like, but there's a deepness about it in the background, like deep notes, leather, vetiver, frankincense. But along the way, there's some zing and spice and floral touches as well. Really gorgeous fragrance. Really love it. Again, I could have put that at 3 and Milk Musk EDP at number 2, but I decided to go with that at number 2. And my number 1 favorite, I'm surprised how good it is, it's Labdanum Dusk, not Musk, Labdanum Dusk. So the thing about this fragrance is it's a labdanum focused fragrance, and labdanum is used to create the amber accord, so it eventually gets ambery. Labdanum has smoky touches, sticky kind of resinous touches, so it's in the end it's ambery for sure. But what I like about this one, the reminder of Polo Green, the original from the late 70s. It has leather too, so Polo has leather. That's what's unique about this one, a labdanum focused fragrance that has this Polo reminder. Very unique, a bit on the masculine side for sure. I still feel like the tobacco is the most masculine. This would be followed, and then of course the Coastal Cypress would be next, but this is definitely really great. If you haven't tried this, please do. I like what you get with this one, the whole amber resin thing with that whole Polo Green effect. It's old school. It's a bit old school. I don't know how long this will survive. But I love this. It smells so good because it takes me back. Takes me back when I was a little boy and I was stealing my dad's Polo bottle and making sure it doesn't spill because it was a splash bottle, right? It wasn't spray at the time. But this is a lot different. I mean, you have that effect there, the idea of Polo Green there, but it's more like a dense amber, dark, a bit smoky, and of course resinous and sticky. So good. This is so good. So Labdanum Dusk is at number 1, and that's the list for you guys. What are your thoughts on these fragrances? Let me know. Put a comment down below. I don't have every single fragrance from the house, obviously. I do also have other fragrances that are in the EDTs that are not ones that I own in EDPs. So I have a pretty wide collection. I enjoy the house, especially since they have really luxurious bath products as well. But these are some of my favorite fragrances, and let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Have you gotten your nose on them? Are you curious to get your nose on them? And if you have any that you enjoy and love, let me know what it is. Put a comment down below. And don't forget the sale. The sale is happening now, 25% off store-wide, and it's free shipping only from the 28th till the 3rd of September. So check it out. Go to their store and find out what they have, and let me know what your favorite Molton Brown fragrances are in the meantime. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.